for all of you as well. And by the way, we have Suraj here as well. Suraj, I'll let him introduce himself, but he's the founder of Bonbio, which is a partner for launch as well. So maybe Suraj, I'll let you introduce yourself and then we'll turn it to Katleen.
Thank you for that, Sanjay. Very quickly, excited to be working with you over the next few months and to get your ventures to a place where they're real companies. So happy to be here. And also want you to know that we're available to support you as you work through this using the platform, the Slack channel. Feel free to sort of reach out as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and so just to be clear on that, so Suraj is the founder of a company called Bonbio, Bonbillo. Emerson is partnered with Bonbio so that you all can get value and use from their services. So we're going to provide you access to the Bonbio platform. There's a lot of templates and tools out there, and even more than the templates and tools, there's a whole community of people just like you launching companies from around the world. Right? So it's really as much as you want to take in. I think Katleen will also, I think she's nodding. I think I'll let her talk about it. But, it's how much you want to kind of, tap into the community and tap into the network and benefit from that as well. So without further ado, I'll turn it to Katleen just to allow her to introduce herself.
Hey everybody, obviously my name is Katleen Francois and I'm just like very excited to be here because it's just like I'm happy to be speaking to other students that I went to the same college as myself, Emerson College. And right now I am currently the co-founder and chief creative officer for GoTV. And GoTV is basically a video streaming service that showcases positive content geared towards multicultural viewers. So before I get into GoTV, I'll kind of get into a little bit of my background. So obviously I went to Emerson and I graduated in 2013. My major was broadcast journalism and I was also minoring in business. Throughout my entire time at Emerson, I really hosted the radio show on 88.9 WERS. So I did The Secret Spot. And I played a lot of R&B, soul, and slow jams. So I kind of, did my thing there, which was really fun, and which also allowed me to kind of test out my first little business venture, if you will. Because on air, I used to be known as Stephanie Millions, and I set the mood for everybody. So because of that, people used to hire me. A lot of other colleges, a lot of other organizations used to hire me to host their events, and just basically use my Stephanie Millions persona. So I made some good money with that.
Hey, Katleen, Jess is in my class and I played for them Fabulous and Ashanti and they didn't even know who they were.
Oh God, guys, you guys are breaking my heart with that. That's crazy. That is crazy.
And then I played some Genuine for them also. They're like, wait, it's because they know Pop Smoke. You guys know who Pop Smoke is, right? Pop Smoke just keeps sampling all this old school stuff.
Exactly.
I mean, I like Pop Smoke, but
Let me just tell you something, right? So when I was hosting The Secret Spot, now we were playing a lot of R&B and soul music, and I'm like, oh my God, did they steal this song? They stole this. It's just like, then I realized, no, a lot of these hip hop artists are sampling these old school music and songs and stuff. And I'm just like, that's when I discovered like, oh my God, is this how the music business works? But anyways, that was just a whole ordeal. And I was just like mind blown. So that's something within itself. And then so other than hosting The Secret Spot, I also worked with WEBN. I also produced a program for them called Every Woman Has a Story. And with that program, we were able to, we won 2 awards with that program, an Associate Press Award, as well as a journalism award as well. But all this is say, all of these things that I was doing while I was at Emerson College really kind of built me up from what I'm doing now, right? So, for example, having this on-air experience allowed me to see what I'm looking for talent for the programs that we have, on our platform. So I'm going to get a little bit into GoTV. So GoTV, how that ended up happening was originally it was the Gag Order Network. So the Gag Order Network was just basically an audio and podcast platform, right? So there's a lot of radio shows.
Kathleen, sorry, so what was the name of it?
Gag Order Network.
Gag Order Network. Okay. So just to understand, so you graduated Emerson, then you went to work somewhere else, and and then you launched Go Network.
Yes,
Right?
yes, I'll get into that, right? So, and just keep in mind, guys, while I'm launching these businesses or working on these businesses, I still have a 9-to-5 because, bills still got to be paid and student loans still got to be paid. Let's not forget, we can follow our dreams, but make sure we have, that 9-to-5 to make sure everything else is getting handled. So while I'm still working my 9-to-5, I also went and worked for Cohort Network because I still wanted to build on my persona as Stephanie Miller. So I had a radio show on there as well. So it was only known as an audio platform. And at the time it had like 5 million listeners. And then when I was working with this platform, they were like the founders, which was Dimitri and Jay. Side note, Jay is now my husband. So we were building this company, and then we decided to pivot into the video streaming service space because audio is doing good and everything, and everybody's coming up with a podcast network and stuff like that. So we're like, what? We need to let's really focus on what we want to do in the first place, which is what the CEO wanted to do in the first place, which was build a video streaming service space. And we decided to focus on multicultural viewers. I am multicultural, right? So majority of people is multicultural. When I say multicultural, I'm talking about people from different ethnic backgrounds, people who have different sexual orientations, or people from disabled communities. The thing that we noticed when watching mainstream media is that, there isn't any stories that are truly reflective of people that look like me or people that are in my community. Because, when you're watching TV, all you typically see is these stereotypical roles. And it's like, how many times are we going to see the Black gangsters, the Hispanic drug dealers? You know what I mean? Like, how many times are we going to see the Middle Eastern terrorists? There's so much more to our stories. And the thing too, you got to think about, like, who is in charge of these stories, Because I know for a fact that there are a lot more content creators from different backgrounds. And I know for a fact that they want to share more of stories that are truly reflective of who they are, For example, for myself, being on this journey, the whole reason why going to Emerson and stuff like that, it was because I only really saw one person, which was Oprah Winfrey. So you're telling me out of everybody of color, there's one person who's actually in that top position. There are plenty more, but it's either that their stories are not getting highlighted or we don't know about their stories, right? So for example, other than Oprah Winfrey, can anybody tell me of another woman of color that is in a position like hers? Have you guys ever heard of Kathy Hughes? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say Shonda Rhimes.
Shonda Rhimes. That's a good one. But there's also Kathy Hughes. Did you guys know that she was in charge of Radio One as well as TV One? Like, that's a big name right there. And she's been making things happen. And so that's what I'm talking about. We need more of these stories out in the public. I remember when I was growing up, especially like, in the 90s, I'm a 90s kid, and there are a lot more popular, positive sitcoms, right? That had people of color in them, right? For example, I don't know, are you guys familiar with Parenthood, Sister, Sister? Parenthood, Sister, Sister, Smart Guy. There are a lot of more other shows that are not present right now. And I'm just wondering, like, why is that? All you're seeing right now is like a lot of reality TV, right? But there's necessarily anything wrong with reality TV, but my issue that I have with reality TV right now is what they're pushing out, what they're projecting. Because typically some of the reality TV that have people of color in them, and when I say people of color, I'm not just talking about Black people, right? I'm talking about other races as well. But typically with the reality TV with people of color, Black people in it, it's always something, I'm sorry, but ratchet, right? It's always something crazy. It's always somebody's fighting, somebody's being a baby mama or whatever it is, right? And it's just like, wow, that's crazy, because it's like they're pushing these stories out there and other people are believing these stories. Other people who aren't familiar with these type of communities, they're gonna put all of us in one bucket, right? And that's kind of sad, because it's just like, instead of actually putting like stories out there that, that people who are in my circle, we're in school, we're trying to build businesses. Why am I not seeing these stories out there? But then you want to put these negative things out there. And I'm like, I don't know anybody like that that's in my family, right? So when I think of GoTV, I say all the time, it's just, I want GoTV to truly be a place where people can call home, right? So when you're home, you can truly be yourself, right? And when you're home, it's almost like I say it's like a family reunion, right? So it's just like when you're home, you get to connect with your uncle. He's telling you stories of back in the day when he used to talk to girls, or you're listening to your grandmother, like while she's cooking over dinner, she's telling you stories of back in her native country, and you guys are able to connect over that, right? Or your little cousin, he's teaching you the new dance of his era. That's what GoTV is supposed to represent. You're able to connect with people from different generations and from different backgrounds, and also people from different communities. So for example, like as the chief content creator, the chief creative officer for Go Network, my role is to go ahead and look for content that would be reflective of what I want Go Network to be on. So one of the people that we've onboarded, he's an Indian American, Pan American content creator. So he created this film called Pang. And basically it was so amazing because I've never seen that story on media, right? So basically what he was talking about, what it represented in that film is him being a millennial American parent who is, working. He works at a marketing agency, but he has his turban on and everything. And what happened is, based in that film, it's right after 9/11, the type of injustices that he's encountering. And he's just trying to navigate the world as both being American and being Pang as well, and just trying to navigate between these two cultures, right? And then, people at his job, they're interacting with him differently. People in the streets, because of what happened, they automatically associate all of what happened to him. So now it's hard for him to kind of navigate the streets, right? Because he's just like, but I'm still American as well. How about me? How about my story? I'm not a part of that, of what happened, during the situation with 9/11. I'm still a human being and I'm still trying to interact. So what he ended up doing is he ended up taking off his turban, shaving off his hair and everything. And then at the end, people are still looking at him weird. And he still can't navigate. So it's just like, it's like damned if I do and damned if I don't. So what I loved about that film is because we were able to see a different story. We were able to see this, young man trying to navigate the world as a Pan American and still see the type of stuff that he's dealing with. And I was really excited about that because I never got to see that story in mainstream media. You never get to see that side. And why is that? And I was really excited to have it on the platform because this is what I want people to see. I want people to see a different side rather than the, stereotypical roles that are being thrown at us. Like, I don't know about you, but enough of these stories, like enough of these negative stereotypes. Like I want to see something different. I want to see something more. And that's the whole reason why Go TV was created. So and how we deliver our platform, it's a linear platform. Is anybody familiar with Pluto TV? Okay, so Pluto TV. So basically it's like TV, you're able to flip through the channels, and that's how we have our platform laid out instead of like a Netflix who's on demand. Does that make sense? So can I ask you guys a question? Like, I don't want to, because my thing is I don't want to talk at anybody. I want this to be more conversational. So, what are some of the stories that you would have loved to see? Like, first of all, where are you guys from? And what are some of the stories that you would have loved to see on TV? Wait, is she talking? I can you Olivia? Okay, go ahead.
I'm from Argentina, so I totally understand this kind of bias that Americans have towards everybody else. Like Spanish-speaking people or Latin Americans, they're always like drug addicts or like narcos, or they're always not the best. They don't have the best qualities. And honestly, when I go back home, I see all these amazing artists and amazing like stories that they tell, and it's so empowering to see them. And it's like, oh, I wish my American friends could see this too, because it's not just drugs and sex and death. It's much more than that. Yeah.
Honestly,
I don't.
so happy
yeah.
you said that. Go ahead.
No, yeah, I don't have a story in mind, but I definitely feel the need that I want my friends that are not from South America to understand that not all South Americans are just drugs.
Exactly. Because I swear, like, whenever you turn on Netflix and it has anything to do with the Hispanic culture, it's always narcos. It's like, okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and even in I studied film for my BA, and everything that had a Latin character, it was always a side character that was shady and like was always into the dark stuff. And it was like, well, we can be nice too.
Exactly. Like, you know, one of the things I was saying to like my team, wouldn't it be cool to see like maybe a Colombian female superhero, kind of like, you know, playing a lead role in a Marvel story? Like, that's different. That's what I want to see. Enough of the same type of, you know, people always playing these lead roles, you know? How about, okay, go ahead, Angie.
Kathleen, have you seen the movie called Crazy Rich Asian?
Yes, I love that movie. I love that movie. But go ahead, tell me more.
Yeah, so I was so excited when Warner Bros. Noticed that, yeah, I want to produce a movie that everyone there is like Asian, and especially the protagonists are Asian. And it's about
Exactly.
people. And when I watched it, like, this is like the fifth time I watch it, and I love the movie, and it's really satisfying watching a movie that it basically fought against all the stereotype about Asian
Mm-hmm.
people. Um, Also, because I'm a Vietnamese student and I'm an Asian student living here, all my friends will like go to Netflix and watch all the TV show. I'm also like I also enjoy those TV shows, but it's not close to what I think in daily life. I want to see more people like me have same struggle and the same thing that I experience in my culture. That's why I watch K drama.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but the way my friend reacted to it is like make me feel like in stigma to watch K drama in court in the US, because there are some tons of great TV shows on Netflix. Why you go and watch K drama every day and be a K drama queen? And I just hated that it's not that
But
fun.
you know what? What is your friend? What's the background? What's the background of your friend?
Um, why American?
Exactly. See, the thing is, the issue is, I feel like mainstream media really has been made for like white Americans, right? It's not necessarily for multicultural individuals. So sometimes what they don't understand is that, you know, that experience of trying to find a film or trying to find a show is totally different, right? Because there are several things that we're trying to look for that we can relate to. Because I was having a conversation with a woman the other day, a potential investor, like, hey, this is why we're creating this, right? And it's because that experience is different. For example, white America, I'm gonna give you an example. This woman, she was saying that her issue, she has this young daughter and she wanted to find a cartoon that could show, you know, a positive image, you know, of a young Black girl, right? And for her, it was kind of difficult. Reason being is because it's just like that experience is different. And it's just like I have to go to multiple different platforms to try to find a show that can resemble that. You know, Disney is good, but there isn't enough cartoons, but you know, Tiana, you know, being that princess, right? There isn't enough of that. So that experience is different. So I feel like for multicultural people, the experience of finding content is totally different. We have to go on multiple platforms and just instead of just going on one, right? And that is what we're trying to eliminate. Honestly, right now, I'm starting to see that, you know, different platforms are trying to make, you know, they're making efforts to making it more inclusive, but still they're missing the mark on changing, you know, the storylines, because there are a lot of writers out there that have written different scripts, multiple different scripts on, you know, different storylines. But the issue, it seems like, you know, the big heads, the big wigs, they're not allowing these stories to be pushed out there because they don't think people want to see that. When in reality, it's like, no, people want to see that. For example, the people who we're targeting are multicultural women in our initial target market, or, you know, yeah, multicultural women. And it's to the point that they're no longer waiting for mainstream media to create what they want to see. They're going ahead and creating it themselves. For example, Issa, she created Insecure. She went ahead and created Awkward Black Girl series by herself because she's done. And guess what? It got taken by, and they turned that into Insecure. And that's what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna start calling out some people. Lucien, is that your name?
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm thinking about it, but like there's nothing that comes to mind for me.
Mm-hmm. In terms of, you don't know what, and there's nothing that comes to mind for you in terms of what exactly?
Like stories that I like feel personally for me need to be told. Like I don't know, I'm just not a huge TV person anymore. So
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, I really don't know.
Okay, no worries. And while we're on the subject, what are you creating? What are you working on?
I want to try to build like a media fundraising platform for people at Emerson.
Okay, that's awesome. So have you, I believe it's called Seek and Spark. Have you heard of them?
No.
So, so I just want to make sure. So basically, Seek and Spark is also a kind of like a fundraising platform, but it's specifically for content creators. So maybe you can take a look at them and, you know, get some ideas on that. But I do like that because it seems like your target audience is specifically Emerson or maybe other college students. But that would be a good platform for you to look on. So it's just like, are you looking for people who want to create? Is it different types of project, or is it specifically for film or content or music projects or what?
It was the idea is mainly starting with like film projects at Emerson, like media stuff like that. This is cool. I'm checking out that thing you just recommended.
Yeah, that's a great platform. I was actually looking at them too because they do have some great resources on there. How about you, Jessica?
So for me, like when I think about like something I would probably want to see more, I would say like I would want to be like educated more on like this is probably maybe like a bias opinion because like of the company I'm creating, but like I would want to see more about like different things that are wrong in society and like just like I feel like we are not very educated on like what's going on and like how like if we like climate change and all that stuff. I'm like, oh my goodness. But so like I feel like I would want to learn like learn more about that, and like that's like something I would want to see. I would also like totally agree with like incorporating like a lot more actors of color and like everything. And just I'm not really into movies. I like TV. I like binging a good TV series.
Yeah.
So and I'm also I would say I'm like I have a lot of ethnicity to me. I'm Italian, I'm Argentinian, and I'm also Salvadorian. So like I would say like connecting with also what Olivia said. She said how I think you're from Argentina, you mentioned Olivia. Okay. So like there's a ton of Spanish shows that I love watching, and like I'll choose to like watch those like rather than like the basic like American TV shows because
I'll even say that too, Jessica. So for example, you see how what you mentioned your background was, so you're Italian, you're also El Salvadorian, right? Like I would even like to see, you know, a series about that, about, you know, a girl navigating her life and being from two different backgrounds, and how do I live this way? You know what I mean? I feel like that's like the issue for me from what I'm not seeing. For example, being Haitian, I'm Haitian and I'm also American, right? So I was born in Haiti, but I was raised here in America. And so I have these two different cultures that I'm trying to navigate. And what I mean by that, right, is just because, okay, I'm being raised as a Haitian child in America. How does that work? You know?
Going off what you just said, it's really funny because my roommate is Bulgarian and she was born and raised there. And like just like when she gets like just starts getting a headache and like the way she like reacts to that, like versus like my other roommate who was born in Connecticut, like I would give him Advil. With her it's like a completely different thing. Like I have to give her like a serum, and it's like it's so different, like how different cultures are, like you're raised differently and like you have like different like aspects of your life are different because of like your culture and like who you are. So it's
exactly.
like cool.
And let me talk to you about this because you said what is it that you're building? What's your company?
So I'm trying to build a fashion company that is going to sell hoodies, sweatpants, like comfortable apparel in general. And each collection is going to be a collaboration with a different nonprofit organization, like that I would want to partner with and like create a design and like that is inspired by their nonprofit to be able to raise awareness and bring like educate others on like their purpose. Like just like because I feel like there's so many people that just don't know better, and it's not because they don't want to know, it's just they don't know how to like educate themselves. That's like I would try to, my goal is to educate people through like cool things and like something I love hoodies. I love like I think it's super cool if like someone's like, oh, where'd you get your hoodie, and then like you can spark a conversation off of that as well.
Can you give me an example? So let's just say, okay, you have this hoodie line, and who would you like? Give me an idea so I can get understand better. So you would
like my target. Like a different like so. One nonprofit organization that I am 100% planning on profiting. It's because it's close. Like it's like one of my friends had passed away, and they started this foundation called Sebastian Strong, which is trying to raise money to cure childhood cancer because there's not a lot like money going into and research going into it because people just like that's like the least like research like cancer. So like I would want to create a collection with them and like create a video like surrounding like their purpose and like just to advocate and help raise awareness for them. And then like that would be like on a hoodie, and like we would showcase this video. And I'm like, the goal is to like, I feel like TikTok is a very viral, it's easy to go viral. And that's my kind of like the platform I'm planning on using, and like create YouTube videos, and also like taking Emerson's like all the resources Emerson offers. Like I have so many friends that are like, that can film, that can like shoot that stuff. So it's like it's like something that can actually happen because I do have like Emerson's resources.
But this is like so exciting, you know, it's like a purpose-driven company. And I just love that you're already thinking about the resources that you have, you know, available, which is, you know, amazing. You know what I mean? So the fact that you're going to use your colleagues or your students, whatever, to do these like social media pushes, especially TikTok, that could be your main channel. So that I think that's pretty exciting. Yes. So, oh man, I'm very excited. And you know, too, also, I do want to talk about my experience with Emerson Launch, you know what I mean? And also Bonbio. So I think that's great because you guys are in like the perfect position, you know? I'll say this, I just wish when I was doing this stuff, like I got started in college, because it just sucks to kind of wait after. I was like, oh damn, I could have worked on this idea. So now that you guys have these tools and these resources, and the fact that you guys have, you know, other students that are part of these programs who can probably be your co-founder, who can probably be on your team as you build this company, you know? So I think that's great. And the other thing too is like, I'll say all of you guys, I know you guys, I believe this is a brand new cohort. I definitely really advise and really encourage to use the Bonbio platform as you guys go through this, because the questions that are being asked, it just really makes you think like, oh my God, I didn't think about that. I need to do that. I need to work on that. So it's just like these exercises that they have you do. I think one of the favorite things that I really love is when we're talking about, it's funny because you were talking about your customer. So they have this section on your customer. Who is your customer? Yes, you build out your customer, you know who your customer, but who is going to be your initial customer? Because at first, before I said, I'm like, everybody, duh, everybody's multicultural, you know what I mean? But it's just like, yeah, but you need to figure out who you're going to target first to bring on the other people on board. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm talking about in terms of like, you know, the different exercises that they have you do, I think would be really beneficial. And the fact that you guys are in this cohort, I definitely say like, definitely utilize, you know, I'm going to call you as a team. Definitely utilize your team. Maybe like, you know, having these conversations, doing these one-on-ones could probably get you thinking like outside the box. So I love the fact that, for example, what you just said is that, you know, you want to utilize, you know, the people who are in your school who have these different skill sets. That's fantastic. Like, imagine if Lucian already built this platform to, you know, raise funds for these different projects, right? And your project happened to be one of them, and you can be on this platform to raise this money. So that's what I'm talking about in terms of like working alongside your team.
No, it's a great point. I mean, we talked about it. First of all, your comment about who's your customer, everybody versus is head on, right? That's kind of what we talked about today. And then I think your comment about, yeah, exactly. Like, listen, if we could, you know, have Lucian's platform and Jess and Olivia could raise, you know, funds on the thing, like you have total synergies between the cohort, like it'd be fantastic. And that's the goal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Olivia, I know we talked a little bit. I didn't get to know what you're working on. What are you working on?
So I realized that whenever I go to the store for the supermarket, I can never find the right ingredients or the right product that translates to my country's. For example, cream cheese. That was my example. In Argentina, we have a special kind of cream cheese that when you go to America, although you have 1,000 types of cream cheeses, nothing compares or nothing is similar to that. So my idea would be an augmented service for Instacart, which I don't know if you know what that is. It's just a platform.
I use it all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So they would allow you to see the equivalences from another country for different products in all the markets they offer for distribution.
I love that.
Myself clear.
What's
Okay,
it
kind
called
of like
again?
that. Sorry?
What's it called?
I called it Migrant Cart because it's a part of Instacart, but I don't know if I'm gonna sell it to Instacart. Maybe I'll just make up my own platform.
I say you a big boss. You take that on. You but that's awesome though. So let me ask you this. So okay, so let's just say I don't know if you thought that far ahead yet, right? But I'm just wondering. So let's just say if you were to start with like 5 products, like what would you start with?
Well, it depends on what country, because if you want to buy something from Spain, or you want to make an authentic traditional Spanish meal like paella, well, then you try and find out what rice is the best to kind of look at the equivalency. But if you're trying to do milanesa as like an Argentinian dish, then you would know that you have to go buy meat, and you would know that the meat that you have to buy is veal, which took me ages to find out.
Let me ask you a question, right? Because the only thing that I'm thinking about in terms of your platform that might be a tad bit difficult would be the logistics, right? And because I'm just trying to think, right? So let's just say you already got this platform going, right? Do they sell some of these products that are like alternate? Let's just say the cream cheese alternative. Do they sell that here in America, or they don't?
No, they don't. So it would be like, what is Star Market's equivalency, like the most similar to the product I want? So it's a lot of research and a lot of community like that has to support this and be like, hey, you know what? I'm from Uruguay, and I know that mate, the similar whatever for mate is this. So.
See, you're also we're going after a similar market. You're going after the multicultural market as well. So
yeah, of course.
I'll be glad to share with you too, so you have your numbers as well. But we're going after a similar market. You know what? How about this? What I would love. So I didn't tell you guys about the second portion, of the company. The second portion of the company that we're trying to work on as well. That's something that we're still in the works of doing. But the goal for this platform is basically to be a video streaming service with like an e-commerce underpinning. And what we mean by that is, for example, let's just say we had like there was a series I was playing. It was probably, the Colombian superhero girl, and that's her series and stuff like that. And you like the shirt that she's wearing, you would be able to purchase the shirt directly on the platform, right? So my thing is, wouldn't it be cool, like, let's just say, like, because she's Colombian, her mother happens to be cooking her favorite Colombian dish, and the item she has in there, you're able to tap on the platform, and the underpinning of it probably could come from your store. You know what I'm saying? Well,
that's amazing. Like kind of like uniting it. Yeah.
Exactly. That would be like super cool. But this is just like what I'm talking about in terms of like, I think that's why I love like the community that we're building here, because it's like you never know who you can probably work with in the future. Who's to say 5 years from now your platform isn't already up? It's like, hey, since you got it up, let's figure out a way to marry the two. So that's why I get like, sometimes I guess my excitedness could be a little bit naive, but I'm just excited because you never know what the future holds. You know what I'm saying? And especially right now, I'm excited because it's like you guys are starting this business while you're in college. That's an opportunity that sometimes I still think about that I wish that I did, because right now is the perfect time, because you're in school and you're able to connect with other people, connect with other creative individuals that could probably be a part of your marketing team or probably be your co-founder. You just don't know. So right now is the best time rather than wait. For example, a lot of like the main like big CEOs of these big time companies, a lot of them got started in college. A lot of them. And I'll add one other thing to that too. And I'd like to move on to Sunjin after that, is I think right now is also a good time to kind of be learning, while you're in school, whenever you have some time and stuff like that. Right now is also a good time to be learning like some type of tech skill set, because we're going into the world is turning into a techie type of world. You know what I'm saying? So for example, for myself, I went ahead and learned UX design. And by learning UX design, it may not be perfect, but I was able to kind of create what I wanted the platform to look like. So I built, our prototypes for our CTO, like, hey, this is what I want, because based on these user interviews, it seems like this is how, our user would like to use this platform. So that's why I say it may not have to be UX design, but something tech related would be so beneficial, because imagine like, as the creator, you're able to create something of your platform just to make it easier on the other people that you get. So for example, Lucian, the platform that you're creating, I'm not saying you have to, but I'm saying, what if you were able to learn how to code? It will help you along the way. You know what I mean? So I think while you guys are, in school majoring in whatever you're majoring in and also creating your business, learning something tech related would be great. It's not necessary, but it's helpful. But Sunjin, so what are you creating?
I'm not creating anything right now because I'm on the team.
Okay.
But
Oh, so you're an operator. That's what you are.
yeah, but I think just like going back to your question on like international content, I can definitely relate on like seeing how in our current American market, we're bringing in more international creatives only because it like brings in more revenue. And I feel like it's so obvious that like even for Crazy Rich Asians, or like I guess I can talk about like Parasite because I'm Korean American, you could tell that people were just jumping on the bandwagon because it was like on the way up and like it was seeing a rise. But then when they actually look at like the actors and like individuals within the film, there's not much talk about it. It's just like, oh, I'm going to hop on the bandwagon because everyone's hopping on it. So I feel like even with Netflix, there was like one of their annual reports. They started to branch out into the Asian markets because it was bringing in more revenue. And I feel like that kind of calculation is definitely like good for a company, but it also like messes with the authenticity of like the creatives. So I think I don't watch a lot of American films and TV shows, and I get a lot of like, why don't you watch it from like a lot of my white friends, but then
because I can't relate.
yeah, but then they're not watching the content that I'm watching. So there's just that kind of like, I expect you to watch what I watch, but I won't watch your content. So yeah.
Isn't that kind of silly, especially like, there's this report that said by 2044, majority of the US population is going to be multicultural. You know what I mean? So it's just like, right now would be one of the best times to start incorporating more of these different types of content from these different types of cultures so we can learn more about each other rather than like, no, I want you to watch what I'm watching, but whatever you got going on, I don't want to. No, thanks. And what I've also seen too is just the fact that I've noticed that there's been a lot of like video streaming services that are targeted towards specific backgrounds. Like I think Canela for Spanish speakers, and then also too I've seen like I believe 3 independent video streaming service for people from the Asian market. I'm just trying to remember the name, but I'm like, I just wish they weren't separated. And that's the goal that we're trying to do. We just want to mix it in because at the end of the day, we're all a melting pot. So why can't we have these different things on the same platform? You know what I mean? And Angie, I know we talked a little bit before, but are you creating anything or are you also an operator?
I actually have an idea. So
Ooh,
from
okay.
the problem that I read a lot of books, most of them in English, but also there are some books, especially they haven't translated in English yet, but they already translated into Vietnamese, my mother tongue language, and those books are like from Korea, Korean authors or Chinese author. I mean, basically the Asian market, and I really want to read those books because I watch YouTube videos at home and all the YouTube booktube vloggers, they talk about those books with the books on the hand, but I don't have those books here. I cannot ship them to the US. And I'm wondering like, and I'm also an international student, so I have my Kindle and I don't want to like bring a lot of Vietnamese books every time I travel back to the US because they are like bricks in my
Right.
And so I want to, but there is no way I can buy those ebook version on Amazon. And funnily, there is no publishing companies in Vietnam that publish ebook version for all those books. And I want to do like, yeah, what if I don't know why. First of all, I try to find the answer for the question, why no one publishing ebooks in Vietnam? Could be because of the consumer behavior that not a lot of people use Kindle and read book online. They would rather go to a store and then get the physical.
Oh, and get the physical copy?
Yeah. So, but I still want to publish the ebooks version and serving, I think the beachhead market I'm targeting to is all Vietnamese students that are studying abroad around the world and access to those physical copies.
That's a good idea. Because you're basically capturing all the market outside of Vietnam, right?
Yes. Yeah, but the only problem is there's two ways that you can read those ebook. You read
Okay.
them on tablet or like laptop. It had to be from like Apple or Amazon or Kindle app, or you buy the Kindle. But there's no. So I need to find a way to partner with Amazon to like, yeah, let me sell those ebook on your website so people can download the book to their Kindles, or I just create a totally different, just like make my own Kindle version and then sell them to everyone. But it's hard because my market seems like really international. Everyone is outside of Vietnam. So I don't know about the partnership thing. I think it's really hard to do, to talk to Amazon.
But I mean, you're an entrepreneur now, so that's your job to try to figure that out. And I know you can.
You think it's possible?
I do. You
Ooh.
know what? Here's what I've realized. I realized at the end of the day, anything is possible if you're willing to put the work behind it. Because if you over here daydreaming and you think like, oh, maybe one day, like, probably not going to happen. But now if you already kind of get started, maybe, okay, the fact that you started asking why, that's a very valuable question, because that's how most entrepreneurs get started. Because why isn't this working? Why don't we have, you know what I mean? So you just started asking them why. So now it's a matter of like doing your research and try to figure out like, oh, how did this company partner with this company? Try to figure that out. You know what I mean? So it's just a matter of you ask why. Now you're about to do your research. And I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not easy being an entrepreneur, because I still have some days where I'm like, oh my God, like, what am I doing? Like, where am I going? And guess what? It's part of the entire journey, because one day you're up and the next day it's just like, oh my God, I just figured this out, you know? So so it's an up and down crazy journey. All right. And it's still not perfect. You know, I'm still on my journey. I'm still trying to figure it out. I would love to tell you guys like, oh guys, you know, this is it. You know what I mean? But I'm still in the building process, and I realize that's okay. The only thing I definitely will say though is, you know, while you're building, try to see if you can get, again, another person on your team, because it's so important. Because if you're doing all this work by yourself, it's possible, but it take a lot longer. But it's necessary to have somebody else helping, because, you know, maybe you're not good at this particular area, but this person, he or she has the skill set to make this area happen. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So right now is perfect.
No, I was just gonna say it's a great point. I think you've left them with a lot of great points to think about. And I think, you know, initially you always start as a solo entrepreneur, but ultimately you need a team. Nothing gets built without a team, and that's a great point. Okay. Kathleen, any last thoughts for the class? I think you've left us with like we understand kind of your vision and mission and journey.
I just hope I wasn't rambling too much.
No, I think it was good for you to kind of engage with each of them and kind of help them kind of move their individual concepts forward too. Are there any kind of other last, you've mentioned Bonbio and launch, any kind of last parting words of advice to the cohort?
The last parting words of advice, basically, I just kind of repeat some of the things that I just said before. So number one, definitely, if you can get somebody on your team, definitely do so. Also, you know, if you can kind of learn some type of tech skill set, that's beneficial, especially in the world that we're headed to right now. It doesn't necessarily have to be coding or anything like that, but something that can help you along your journey of building your platform. It's important. And then lastly, like, you know, definitely what, you know, Emerson Launch and Bonbio has available for you guys, definitely hop on that. Because if you think, you know, you can do it by yourself and just like, you know, do this there, it's not going to help you out, because you need something, you need a guideline, you know what I mean? You need a template that's going to help you. Okay, like, oh, I didn't think about this question. Oh, I didn't think about this scenario. This helps. Definitely do that. And obviously, like, you know, ask for help. Ask for help. I'm always asking Siraj and Shaj, like, hey guys, what do you know, so ask for help. And also, lastly, Siraj also has Saturday meetups, which is awesome, because he gets to invite like a lot of other entrepreneurs on the platform who maybe further or maybe starting out. It's good to listen to other entrepreneurs there, because you always learn some type of tidbit from them. So yeah.
Absolutely. No, Kathleen, thank you so much for all this great feedback. I think it's nice for them to hear from a peer, somebody who's already gone through it, and not just kind of inspiring, but to hear tactical words of advice from you as well. So thank you so much for your generosity and time. Before we drop, can we take a picture together?
Yeah.
Can we do that? And